What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, we need to have a good old look at another batch of starter deck cards. You see, the starter decks are being revealed over in Japan right now, as I've been showing you for the past couple of days, honestly. And to put it simply, we are getting some good cards revealed. And I want to start off, we might as well start off with Monkey D. Luffy. Makes sense. Seems like a sensible place to start. And what we've got here with Monkey D. Luffy is a super rare that is coming around in the purple starter deck, which is, of course, the Luffy starter deck. Yay! And it works really well with a bunch of the characters from OP05, but then again, that actually makes perfect sense because it is a reprint of the leader from OP05. At least that's going to be in Starter Deck 18, which honestly sounds good to me. Now, what we got here is 7 cost, 8,000 power, and we've got on play, Don -1, play up to 1 cost 5 or lower, purple Straw Hat Crew character from your hand. Oh, yeah. Now, you got to be purple and you got to be Straw Hat Crew. There are ones like Chopper, for instance, from OP07. It's purple. Chopper is in the Straw Hat Crew, but that is not a Straw Hat Crew card. So you do need to make sure that it is actually Straw Hat Crew. There are some purple cards that you might initially think would fit that don't. So you need to make sure you got that clear. But we're really looking back to OP05. OP05 is when we got a bunch of the Wano Straw Hat Crew, and these work quite nicely in here. I'm looking at Orobi. On play, if you've got 8 or more Don on your field, you KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less. So play Luffy, and then you get to play this for free as well, and take out one of your opponent's characters, and that sounds pretty gosh darn nice to me. The Usohachi will also work here. That's the Don X1 when attacking. If you've got 8 or more Don, rest an opponent's character with a cost of 4 or less. Onami will work here. If you've got 10 cards on the field, this character gains blocker. Now, they're cheaper characters, so you don't really want to play them over, so like a 4 cost if you can. But given that it's 5 cost or less, I love the Franosuke here. This is my favourite, because this one, Don X1, if you have 8 or more Don on your field, this character gains Rush. So play it down for free, attach a Don, and then attack this turn. This is my favourite. It's 5 cost or less, and generally speaking, right, if you're playing a 5 cost or less for free, you do want to be playing a 5 cost where you can, and this will work absolutely beautifully. Okay, fine, Sangoro isn't going to work. I'm cool with that, honestly. Most of them will. The Jinbei from OP05 as well, that's got blocker and plus 1k power if you've got 10 Don on the field. That's another 5 cost I like a lot. There's a bunch here, okay? We really are looking for the OP05 Wano Straw Hats. That's where we're going. I like this card. This card is good. Want another designated super rare, which is really good? Big Mum. We get a lot of Charlotte Linlin cards in the One Piece TCG, and they generally tend to be very good, and this is no exception. Now, this is, of course, coming in the yellow Charlotte Katakuri deck, and in a second I'm going to show you Charlotte Katakuri, but not from the Charlotte Katakuri deck, from the Uta deck, weirdly. More on that in a minute. But basically, we've got another Charlotte Linlin, and once again, in a shocking twist that will surprise absolutely nobody, this is a great card. What we've got here is 6 cost, 7,000 power, and on play you trash a card from your hand, and you get to choose one of the following 2 things. Either your opponent trashes 2 cards from their hand, or you trash the top card of your opponent's life. This is actually cheekily very, very good, because if your opponent has no life, and all you can do is trash the top card of their life, that's disappointing. Now you can go after their hand as well. Catch your opponent with a 2-card hand and put them in full-on top deck mode. And this is really interesting, because a lot of the time you look at this and you're like, well, I win by getting rid of my opponent's life. Trashing the top card of their life is pretty good. But if you get rid of a couple of, say, 2k counters from their hand, let's say they got 2 cards in hand, they're both 2k counter, you force them to discard both of them, that could let 2 attacks through and either take out 2 life or even just win the game if they only had 1 life beforehand. This is really, really fun. Yeah, a lot of the time you're going to play this down and get rid of 1 of their life, of course you are. But there are going to be times where wrecking their hand is going to work absolutely beautifully and set you up for a monster turn. This is a really good card. And look, Big Mum being a super powerful card that takes out life, there's nothing surprising about that. Like we saw, we got 2 Big Mum basically at the same time. We got the one from the yellow starter deck, which on play either you gain a life or your opponent loses a life. And then we saw the one from OPO3, like I say, pretty much at the same time, which does both of them. But neither of those are a 6 cost. And remember, in OPO8, we get Charlotte Puddin, that is purple-yellow, and is Big Mum Pirates, and can Rampton as your leader. I'm just saying there is a lot here that we can start getting on board with. I am a big, big fan. I don't necessarily like the card, but I acknowledge that it's a very, very, very strong card. This is one that I think is going to see a bunch of play outside the starter decks. Charlotte Linlin tends to be very good most of the time. This is no exception. Now, another card that I really like that we're getting here is Buggy. Buggy is cool. Now, I showed my 2-year-old son Ruben this, and he was very excited by the idea of a clown pirate. But in the UK, we call pushchairs buggies, so he was a little bit confused I was calling a clown buggy. But what we got here is 1 cost, 2,000 power, counter plus 1,000, and on play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck and put them back on top of your deck in any order you like. Very importantly, they all have to go to the top of your deck. Sometimes with skills like this, we see that they can go to the top or bottom of your deck. That is not how Buggy works. All 3 of those cards have to then be left on top of your deck. But this is coming along in the blue starter deck with Doflamingo. And actually, everything we're hearing out of Japan right now is that OPO1 Doflamingo in the OPO8 meta is taking a big jump up, despite not really playing any OPO8 cards, which is a little bit weird. It's a good deck. But remember the skill we see on this leader. What the leader does is, Don X2, when attacking, pay 1, reveal a card from the top of your deck. If it's a 7 Warlords of the Sea character with a cost of 4 or less, play it rested. And let's say you go second. On turn 2, you've got 4 Don. So you absolutely can use 1 Don to play Buggy, and then attach 2 to Doflamingo, use a 4th to pay for Doflamingo's skill, and then get a 4 cost. Buggy is a 1 cost character that will help you to get a 4 cost out using this skill on turn 1. I like Buggy. And yes, I know Perona from OPO1 does that as well. And actually, let's look at the top 5 cards of your deck and you put them on the top or bottom rather than just the top. But one important point about Buggy is counter plus 2k. Generally speaking, if you have a choice between a 1k and a 2k counter, you want to go for the 2k counter. I like Perona. And I do acknowledge that looking at 2 extra cards and being able to put them on the bottom as well as the top does make a difference. But I'm just saying Buggy here as well. Or just play both. Play Buggy and Perona and really up your chances of starting to fire with Doflamingo's skill very, very quickly. Because the thing is, we've actually seen a bunch of these cards already that are going to help this Doflamingo deck. We're getting a reprint of the Doflamingo deck, or at least the Doflamingo leader, and we are getting a bunch of cards that are absolutely going to help out. I showed you the Crocodile previously, that on play you look at the top card of your deck, and if it's a 7 Warlords of the Sea, you draw 2, and put a card from your hand on top of your deck, which hopefully is a 4 cost or lower 7 Warlords of the Sea, that you can then use to make sure you hit with Doflamingo's skill. And I showed you Boa Hancock that's got a blocker. Put on play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and put them back in any order that you like, top or bottom of the deck for that one. and then does let you get a Don on one of your characters or leader with 7 Warlords of the Sea as well. We're seeing a bunch of cards in Starter Deck 17, which are really specifically good cards that we're actively trying to make sure that your Doflamingo skill fires more often. We are seeing that all over the place. I mean, we've literally seen Crocodile, which helps you get your leader skill going. Boa Hancock, which helps you get your leader skill going. And now we've got this new buggy, which helps you get your leader skill going. None of this is a coincidence. It really seems like the card designers want this to be a good deck. And like I say, in the OP08 meta, it is actually already seeing play without all of this extra stuff. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that all this extra stuff is helping. I think we might be seeing a surge in Doflamingo. Like, it's definitely already happening in the OP08 meta, but I think these new cards could basically take what's happening and just turn it up to 11. I adore this. I think this is awesome. But there is one more card we need to have a little bit of a look at as well. It is green Charlotte Katakuri from the Uta starter deck. And again, it's a film deck, so go watch some One Piece films, this will make sense. Free cost, 4,000 power, counter plus 1,000. If you have a film type leader and 6 or more rested cards, this character gains 2,000 power. Generic, ordinary, everyday, run-of-the-mill characters are free cost 5k, counter plus 1,000. So if you got 6 or more rested cards, this becomes free cost 6k. And I've already seen a bunch of questions about this, and all the questions are basically just overthinking. Is it a card? Then yes, it counts for this skill. Oh, does your leader count? Yes, it's a card. Oh, does Don count? Yes, it's a card. If it meant Don, it would say Don. If it meant leader, it would say leader. If it meant character, it would say character. If it meant cards other than Don, it would say cards other than Don. Because it specifically says cards, everything counts. And look, when you play this, you're going to have 3 rested Don, and you rest your leader, and this, when you attack, boom, 6. 6 is not difficult. This is basically going to be a free cost 6k most of the time. That is pretty impressive. Nice little beat stick for Uta decks. Right, there we go. That's what you need to know. Those are all the new cards, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me how excited you are. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing is always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.